Flosstube. My name is Nancy Joy Trower, and I am the stitcher with the laughing face. It's my first Flosstube. I'm really excited to join this great community and share my journey with you. I have one that I think is going to be pretty cool this year especially. So the name comes from the song Nancy with a Laughing Face. It was my dad's favorite song, and it was actually part of the reason why I was named Nancy. And my mom's middle name was Nancy, so funny coincidence for them. My dad and I used to sing this song together when I was little, and when I got married the first time, it was our father-daughter dance. So, and it's a pretty apt description. So, I've used it before as kind of a handle. I started a blog years ago because I hated my job and I thought it would, get me out of my hated job, like so many other people. But here on Flosstube, everything has Stitcher in the name. So I decided to go with Stitcher with the laughing face. And so that's where the name comes from. I decided to do this a couple weeks ago. I had a whole bunch of thoughts kind of all percolating in my brain at the same time. And one of them is that this is a big birthday year for me. I'm going to be 50 in August, which I'm still like flabbergasted. How did that happen? I just turned 40 like last year. So it seems like time's going by pretty fast. So that was one of the things that I was thinking about. And then I was thinking about the fact that my husband and I do not want to live in this house forever. We want to move. And it's always been our plan to move when the kids were done with school. So our youngest is a sophomore in high school. And so that means that it could be in a couple years. I don't know if it's after he's done with high school or when he's done with college that we want to find someplace a little bit more out in the country. We live in the suburbs of Buffalo. So, and our town is fine. It's just that we feel like if you reach out from your window, you can touch the neighbor's house next door. And we'd like to have a little bit more space. But I was thinking about the fact of how much stuff is in my crafting oasis, that I call it, in our basement. There's a lot of UFOs down there, unfinished objects. You know that saying about how your eyes are too big for your stomach when, you're at the dessert table or something? I have that problem with crafting because I would say things to myself like, oh, the babysitter's graduating from high school and I'll make him a quilt in 2 months when he graduates so that he can remember us. He just turned 30 last month and the quilt's not done. So I have a lot like that. I have just a lot of stuff that I would like to use, get to the right person, finish off, use things up instead of just giving it away or, getting rid of it by not using it. So I was thinking about that, and then I remembered an article I read in a quilting magazine about a woman who turned 40 and decided that she was going to make 40 quilts for people who were special to her and give them away that year. And I thought, well, I certainly can't do 50 quilts. That's out of the question. But I could finish 50 projects. So that's what I'm going to do. This is going to be my 50 for 50, and I'm going to finish 50 projects this year. Finish those UFOs, get a lot of WIPS done, and then of course there's always the patterns I bought and haven't started yet. We don't have an acronym for that, but we should. And then who knows what Priscilla and Chelsea will come out with in the next few months that I just have to stitch because their stuff is awesome. Or Primrose, or somebody else will have some great pattern that comes along. So that's quite an adventure, and I thought it was something that deserved to be chronicled, and what better place to do that than on Flosstube. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see. Hopefully we'll be able to make that 50 in this year. And at some point I want to learn how to do some editing. I know Evelyn on Annabella's can put a picture up in her video, and I want to be able to do that too. I can put the list up of the 50 projects, but my tech guru is at college right now. So when he comes home for spring break, I'll ask him to help me out in figuring how to edit things and put music at the beginning and the cute little montage of projects and things like that. So, but for now, we're just gonna just keep talking and show off all the projects I've got in my line of stuff to get done. So I started stitching when I was 11. So it's almost been 40 years, which is a long time for someone to work on a project, but it's really been the thing that I always have returned to no matter what other projects I've been working on or other crafting things. So the church that I went to when my family, when I was little, had an annual Christmas workshop. And every year I really looked forward to it. They had an army of grown-ups in the sanctuary, and they'd be decorating, and they used real green. So I remember it smelled amazing. And then they'd have projects in fellowship hall for grown-ups to do. I know my mom tried to make a wreath once and she didn't like it, but one year she made like a Yule log with the candles in it, and that turned out really nice. I think we used it for all of winter. And then in the Sunday school rooms around the building, they had other little projects that you could do. And then around 5 o'clock, they'd put everybody in the sanctuary and do a carol sing and clean up fellowship hall, and then it ended with a big potluck dinner. So the year I was 11, there was a lady teaching how to do cross stitch as one of the projects. Now my mom did crewel work, C-R-E-W-E-L, which is needlepoint, but it's done with a variety of different they're not even really flosses. It was more like yarn, like tapestry yarn sometimes. So I knew how to do satin stitches and daisy chains and French knots and some things like that. But there was something about cross stitching that really just got me. And I'm still amazed, actually, in that one afternoon that she was able to teach me how to thread the needle, knot the thread, and follow a pattern and make the stitches. It just must have been meant to be, because I've tried to teach students how to do it at my school, and they don't get it. It takes a while for them to really kind of catch on and get the hang of it. But once I figured out how to do it, that was it for me. That was the thing that I wanted to do. And I much have badgered my parents to, you know, take me to Joann's and get the little kits, and I don't know how many hundreds of little ornaments I made. And my aunt was a needleworker. She still does. She does amazing needlepoint and all sorts of things. And she actually, one of her friends owned a shop, and she would make the models for her. So when my aunt found out that I was into stitching, she sent me a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember this little leaflet, it's probably Leisure Arts, and it had little girls in it. So each little girl had a different dress, and like one had a puppy and one had flowers, and they all had a name. And I think I stitched everything in that book. I have no idea what happened to them. That was a long time ago, but that was what really got me going. I know I subscribed to the Cross Stitch magazine. I think it was Country, Cross Stitch and Needlework, and then after a while they dropped Country out of the name. And I thought that was always fun. Every other month, you know, you'd see what was next in the magazine, and I think it was still even in black and white when I started getting the subscription to it before they switched over to color. But that really dates me, doesn't it? And so I always was working on something cross stitching, and all through my teens. If you remember back in the 80s, if you stitched then too, it was very different from what's available now. Just about everything was Leisure Arts. If you went to Joann's or Michael's or a big box store, there would be a whole aisle, and it was just Leisure Arts and Dimensions. And then the other side of the aisle had stuff to stitch on. It was all those fingertip towels, if you remember those, with 20 different colors to choose from. The breadcloth covers that you would stitch just in the corner of it. I still have a bunch of those. I use them like a tablecloth and hang over to the edge. You could do Afghans. They had tote bags that had a strip of Aida. I have a friend who said she stitched her kids' trick-or-treat bags. I mean, that's pretty hardcore back in the 80s. You had the waist canvas that you could put on a sweatshirt and then stitch on the shirt and then pull the canvas out, and the stitching was on the shirt. Did that a few times. So it was very different what kind of thing was available to use. And I don't know that there was as much linen. It was mostly Aida, and the colors, you know, the different colors that you could choose from. I don't think there were quite as many back then. But I also remember the patterns were enormous. I really liked Paula Vaughn, if that name rings a bell for anybody back who stitched in the 80s and 90s. She did watercolor pictures that were then transferred into patterns, and they were incredibly detailed. I think you probably spent as much time backstitching it as you stitched it. But it looks like a painting when you hang it on the wall, because the shading was all really, really close. So you might use, you know, every shade in the 500, like 501 to 504, you used all of them, or in the 930s or whatever, you know, like very close color families, and you'd use all of it to shade very gently in the dresses. And she had quilts and flowers, and if it was a scene in a house, you would see everything in the house. There was the wallpaper and the carpet on the floor, and there was French knots in the curtain to give it some depth. So just incredibly detailed patterns. So I did a bunch of her stuff, and I bought a lot of Teresa Wentzler, but I never got around to it, because by the time I wanted to do her stuff, I was starting college and just got a lot more busy. But I stitched all through my teens and into my 20s, all through college. It was kind of my relaxing thing to be able to do and de-stress. And then around 25 is when I learned how to quilt. And then, of course, it was cue the fabric hoarding, or are we just calling it collecting? We're not calling it hoarding. But, you know, started accumulating a lot of fabric. And then I was around 28 when my oldest was born, and I started scrapbooking. And I was actually a creative memories consultant for 8 years, which was really important to me when I was a single mom. It was really important in a really hard time. So I still stitched during all that time, but not as much, just because, especially when scrapbooking was such a huge, huge craze, and you went, you know, practically every weekend you could go to a workshop and hang out with people and be scrapbooking. But I always had some cross-stitching pattern waiting for me to work on. A lot of little things after the boys were born. I kind of joke about before children and after children, because my project got a lot smaller after the kids were born. And Sam has a baby, a birth announcement, my older one, but unfortunately my younger son does not, because you know, I already had one around, running around trying to keep track of him. So I didn't really get hugely back into cross-stitching until I met my husband. So, because when I was a single mom, I would put the boys to bed, and then I could go scrapbook, or I could quilt, and I could work by myself in my crafting space, and, you know, as the evening went by. And then when I met my husband, I didn't really want to spend all that much time alone anymore. So, but stitching was really easy. Just grab your project bag and work on whatever you're doing. And I think certainly after 2020 in quarantine, I kind of even stepped it up a notch and was working on a lot more stitching. And I think a lot of that has to do with the way the trends have gone now, and what we see in cross-stitching now. I got to tell you, as somebody who stitched for 4 decades, I really like where stitching is now. I think it's amazing that with Etsy and Flosstube, the amount of designers who are able to share their wonderful patterns. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, if you wanted to publish, you'd have to be kind of discovered. You know, you'd have to have a deal with Leisure Arts, or you'd be in one of the magazines. There wasn't the same kind of self-publication that people are able to do today. And I think that that is spectacular. I love it, because you can still find traditional samplers, but there's the cute stuff, there's the inappropriate, funny ones. You know, there's just such a huge range of what's available to stitch. And, you know, the big samplers, you can still do huge pieces, like major kind of vintagey looking things. And then you can do the super cute tiered tray tidbits, or the dadas that are smaller, and you can actually get something done and enjoy it in the season that you're stitching for. I think that makes a big difference in being able to get things done quickly. And I think, too, another big difference that I really like is the change out of having everything framed. I used to have everything framed, and I think about how much my parents spent on my stuff when I was a teenager and getting it framed for me. It's kind of amazing. I couldn't imagine framing some of those things now and how much that would cost to do. But with watching a lot of the blogs, and especially Priscilla, even before she started doing her own designs for Stitching with the Housewives, if you look at Priscilla's blog from before then, she was stitching other people's things, but the way she finished everything. So, you know, take a cute Halloween sign and hang your stitching underneath it. Or, you know, just using the sticky board and backing it with fabric. And then the magnet thing was genius, because how many of us have things that, you know, you've got a great frame, you're only going to use it for December, and then you're going to put it away and get out something else. Like, it's great to have the magnet and washers, and so you can have one frame and switch things out all the time. I love that. And I think that that kind of trend has really made cross-stitching more approachable, if that's not quite the right word, but accessible, that's a better word, for people who are just beginning, or people who are just coming back, because it's not the way it used to be, where you would work on a pattern for 350 hours and then spend $300 to get it framed. And I think that that's awesome. And I think it's great that Priscilla and Chelsea at Stitching with the Housewives, and Lindsay and her family at Primrose, you know, they're able to make viable family businesses with their patterns and Etsy and the support of Flosstube of getting it, you know, out there. So I really like where cross stitching is right now, and how much fun it is. And I think the fact that we have a community now. I stitched in a vacuum when I was a kid because none of my friends stitched. My aunt and my grandmother who stitched lived really far away. We weren't able to, you know, we had long distance phone bills then. You couldn't even call them for a long period of time. So having the internet and being able to have this community where you feel like you know the people on Flosstube, you feel like they're your friends because you have this common interest, and the support that everybody gives each other. You see something on Facebook and somebody posts something and there's all the comments about, oh, what a cute finish, and where'd you find that trim? Where'd you find the frame? Or, you know, that's just the support that way. It's kind of funny when you start recognizing names from one Facebook page to or group to another. So people that are, you know, having that same interest. And I think that was one of the important things with scrapbooking, is that you went to the workshops and you had that sense of community and being able to talk to the other people at your table and catch up with them. And I think that Flosstube and the Facebook groups and even the live stitchings where you can work with somebody, I think that really has taken stitching to a place that people feel they belong. And I think that's really awesome. And I'm excited that that's where stitching is right now. And I hope this trend goes for a long time. So that's an awful lot about me and why I stitch, my philosophy on cross stitching. But so now I'm going to show some of my WIPs and get to some of the things I do actually have. A few things that I have finished in my 50 for 50. And so I'm going to show those first. So let's see. Where do they go in my pile over here? So as you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Chelsea and Priscilla. I think their stuff is absolutely adorable. It's like every week the next thing's cuter than the thing that came out before. And I'm amazed that they can keep up with 2 charts a week. And then their big stuff too. That's just amazing. And the cute stuff they just announced for Market. I love the new May month to month with all those new bright colors. Those are awesome. And Priscilla got a color named after her. How cool is that? But I just think they're so much fun to watch. And I think they are like the real housewives. They're just real people, and the kind of people that we wish lived down the street. Not to be creepy or anything, but I just think they're cool, and their stuff is awesome. So I do love the month to month, and my first finish for this year was the December month to month. So I used all the called for classic colorworks on this one, and this is stitched on, you can just see the pattern a little bit there. This is stitched on thin white board. It's 14 count Aida. Now I'm not usually an Aida person. I do most of my stuff on linen, and here's the circle. I do most of my stuff on linen because I think it has just like a little bit more of a polished look to it. Particularly anything that you want to look that's kind of vintage or primitive, I feel like has to be on linen for me because it looks older than an Aida. You know, they didn't have Aida cloth 150 years ago when they were making samplers 200 years ago. It was all on linen. But when I went to go start these, and I started, the first one was the September one because I love apples. I thought that was super cute. I couldn't find any of the linen in, sorry, I'm going to lose my voice. Sorry. I couldn't find any of the linen in the printed patterns. They only had it in Aida, and I really didn't want to wait. It was August when the September one came out. I'm a teacher. I was stitching like crazy over the summer. So I decided to go with the Aida, and I think it really did turn out really cute. I like it. The thin white board, I think the pattern is kind of muted enough that it doesn't really detract from the pattern itself, the stitching, but it still adds like a little extra to it. So the December was my first one for 2023 in my 50 for 50. And then I also did the January. Now I don't have the round done because when I bought my piece of fabric, I cut it into 4, and I did September, December, and January. And then I cut the 4th piece in half to do the small circles. but then it meant January didn't have one. And then accidentally, when I bought a new piece of fabric for the next set of month to months, I bought the cracked pine. I was like, well, I can't mix those because it's going in the other direction. It's not the same. So I might buy another piece of thin white board to do the January circle, or I think it's small enough that if I just did it on plain Aida, I would be the only one to know. You would know, but I doubt you're coming to my house as the cross-stitching police and saying those don't match. So I don't know. We shall see. We'll see. And then I have a couple Valentine's Day stitches that I finished this year. This is the Cherry Hill Stitchery freebie, and she did a sale with this that was on her Facebook group. And the called for was black stitching for the letters, and then I forget what the hearts were. But so I saw somebody use that teal color that's really hip right now with Christmas and Valentine's Day to kind of give it that, you know, 50s kind of look. And so I loved the blue for it. Now the fabric is Monaco that I hand dyed. And that was really my first trip into Flosstube. I haven't been watching for really all that long. I know it's been out for, I think Java Girl just had her 4th anniversary. But I only really discovered it last year from watching Priscilla and Chelsea's tutorial on how to dye. You'd think living in the Buffalo area that we would have a lot of stores, and there's tons of quilt stores and there's tons of yarn stores, but I have not found a local needle shop. So if somebody knows of one, let me know. But I haven't been able to find anything that has fabric. So last year I decided I was going to give it a try myself on dyeing it because all I have is just the box stores. So, and I like Monaco a lot because I feel like the fiber is more substantial, and so especially on something bright like this, it allows your stitches to pop more because there's not like the empty space like there is in some of the linen sometimes. So this was I took a piece of Monaco, I cut it in half, and I did one half in black, so it's kind of a chalkboard, and then this is fuchsia, and it turned out this beautiful shade of pink. So I was really pleased with that. And this is the first thing I stitched from Cherry Hill Stitchery. I like her stuff too, very cute. And then this pattern I bought last year, and then Valentine's Day kind of ran away from me. Oops, I need something to put behind that so you can't see through it. This is on, there, that's good. This is on the chalkboard 28 count, sorry, so over 2 would be 14 count white quilt or witchilt, however you say that. I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of the chalkboard linen. I find it not even so much that it's hard to see the holes when you're working, because I do put a white towel and like across my lap. I just feel like the fiber is very thin, and it's not, I don't know, it's almost like it doesn't support the stitches as well as like the Monaco. But once it's done, I love it. It looks really cute. So this is all done in the called for stitching color, I can't talk, the called for classic colorways. And I really do love that really tealy. I think it's such a great color. So this one, I actually just finished this one yesterday. So those are the first 4 in my 50 for 50. And I know it's the middle of February. I got to get it going a little bit more and catch some stuff up. Okay, so let's go to my WIPS then of the stuff that I am working on. And I do have quite a few. I think there's some even still upstairs. Most of my stitching stuff is kind of like in a nook in our bedroom. I have a whole shelf of a bookcase up there that's all patterns, a lot of the magazines. I find sometimes it's fun just to flip through and look at the patterns. And then I'll scroll through my Pinterest boards. I think there's like 3 of them for stitching and 1 for finishing on Pinterest. It's just fun to look through the patterns sometimes. And even though you know you can't do them all, even though you'd like to, just which ones you would do if you could. One of the people I've been watching is Sweetwater Stitcher. I said it was research, you know, to go and watch other people and see where they are now. And I went back and watched some of her first ones, kind of see like how she evolved over time a little bit. And I've also been watching Hannah Duffy, who's the Stitching Fairy, Primrose, of course, Stitching with the Housewives, I never miss them, and Primrose Cottage, Lindsay and Nettie and Katie and Emily, and I forgot the other sister's name because she's not usually in the videos, but they're a lot of fun to watch too, and so patterns are so cute. I like to watch Kimberly from Fat Quarter Shop as well, and Annabella's with Evelyn. I love Evelyn's Imperfectly Perfect mantra because it never really does look like the picture. That's okay. It'll look like your picture. And then, but Hannah Duffy's the Stitching Fairy, and she's friends with the Stitching in Ocala with Jody. I think it's great when they say that they're going to stitch together when the kids are taking their naps. Stitchy Nurse Mama, she's also new. She's kind of a little bit of a nerd too. She mentioned Ents one day, and I was like, "Ooh, Lord of the Rings, love it." So, so it's fun to see the other people and what everybody's up to and working on and getting ideas. And Jessica at Sweetwater Stitchers, like, she is so up on all the sales going on and the stitching challenges over the weekend, and she's got such a great eye for patterns and finishing. But there were 2 ideas she had for organizing that I thought were great. One of them was to say, like, every day of the week and like assign it a different kind of stitching. So like one day might be your big project, and one day might be Christmas, and one day might be Halloween, so that you don't get bored stitching the same thing all the time. But I also liked it because then it meant that when Halloween or Christmas roll around, you've got something done, hopefully, because you worked on it all year long. And I thought that was great. And I went to go do that. I even wrote in my February planner, and I picked out days, and then I started working, and I realized how much Valentine's Day stuff I really have. And it was like, okay, I'll do this in March, because I don't plan on stitching a ton of St. Patrick's Day stuff, but I wanted to get the Valentine's Day stuff as done as I could so that I can use it next year. But I really liked that idea of assigning different days to different types of stitching. And she also had WIPS sticks. So you put the names of your stitchings on popsicle sticks and stick them in a jar. And then if you need something new, or, you know, it's Christmas Day, you like grab one, and I color coordinated the ends of mine so I would know which one was Christmas and which one were bees. But you could grab something and say, you know, I'm going to work on this today. And I thought that was fun too. So I like those organizational tips. They're always kind of fun. All right, so WIPS. So this month I'm really only working on Valentine's Day stuff, and I have a big project that's for my husband. So this is, and I don't think, oh, I do have it. This is the pattern. It's called Wedding Love from Stitchrovia, and I bought this on Etsy. And I'm pretty sure she's from the UK. Yeah, because it's UK at the bottom. So this is British. And I love this. I don't know how well you can see it from just the picture on it. I love that the negative space is what makes the words. I thought that was really very cool in the middle of the heart. So I started that for my husband to give it to him at Christmas. Haha. But I have been working on it quite a bit. Because every time I look over, or he looks over and I'm not working on it, he'll say, "Where's mine?" So I've been kind of doing this like every other day. So this is how much I have done right now. This is on 28 count casual linen. I probably just picked it up at Hobby Lobby. And for something like this, I do like the linen. For some reason, I don't know, the chalkboard just drives me crazy. Maybe because it is harder to see the holes on it. But this one, it had to be like more dainty. It had to be on something finer, just because of the way that the pattern was going to go. So when I gave it to him at Christmas time, all I had done was the red that makes the background for Love. And then I've been working on it pretty diligently. And I have found I'm usually not somebody that I have to like cross out on my patterns, but this one I do. I had to frog a little bit over here the other day because it is tricky. If you get off by one, how are you going to rip it all out and fix it? Or are you going to be able to adjust it and still have the words look right? I'm not using the called for. She called for 3706 and 3801 as the dark pink and the medium pink, and they were really, really orange. So I didn't think my husband would like that, and I went with like just kind of standard red Valentine's Day colors almost, because this is going to be up all year once it's done. So I wanted it to be something with really nice colors that he was going to like. So I'm using it's 761 is the lightest color, which actually was what she called for. And then I'm using $7.60 as the middle color, the middle pink in here. And then the red is $3.21 and the gray is $4.14. So his birthday's in May, so I'm shooting to have it done for him then. And this one I probably will not, I probably won't have it framed, but I'm going to do it myself and put it in a frame. I've heard a couple other people say too, with like big projects, like some of the samplers, that, you know, gluing it to a sticky board doesn't quite seem like the right kind of finish for something like this, especially something that's going to be out all the time. I think the smaller seasonal things, I don't mind so much because they're smaller. You're not putting as much work in it. So like, this is going to be a lot of work by the time it's done, and you want it to be framed in a way that can withstand being out, on the wall for a very long time, so you can enjoy it. All right. So this month I've been doing a lot of work on Valentine's Day stuff, and I don't have cute bags. I know I've been very jealous watching everybody else's super cute project bags. I just have that kind of bag. So that was like one of the ones at the front of Joann's. So much fabric, so little time. So true, so true. And then this is my Valentine's Day bag, Dollar Tree. And I'm sure that the plastic is not good for the stitching, but I'm going to be done with them and they'll be out of the bag. That's my plan. So I started the Loads of Love sale with Primrose Cottage. And I did start it right on February 2nd, but I, as you can see, am woefully behind. I am not a kind of person who can start and do the border. You know, they said to start with a border and work in. I can't do that. Because I know I would screw something up in the border and then I'd be ripping tons out and swearing and saying all sorts of bad words. So I started in the middle. And I'm using most of the called for, but when I looked really quickly, you know how on their Etsy, they give you a picture of the back of the chart so that you can see what the floss colors are. I looked at it really quickly when I was ordering, and I saw DMC first. I did not see that the last 2 or weeks dyed. So, and not having an LNS, I'm not going to order 4 skeins of floss and pay shipping on it. So, I decided to give the variegated DMC a try because I can get DMC, at the box stores. So that's what I decided to do. Let me see, where did it go? Because here it is. So the variegated, they didn't have one in the turquoise color, which was kind of disappointing because I do love that turquoise. That's everybody's using. I think it's great. But they had, oops, let me get this again so you can see it, not against my giant hair. This is the variegated DMC. It's 115, and it is very variegated. It goes from like a Merlot dark maroon color to kind of a cherry red to like a bright strawberry red. So I'm kind of fussy cutting the floss because I wanted to have the variegation really just in the truck. And there's a couple of the hearts that have it too in the hearts. And there have been a few that I actually pulled out. Like that one I left in, but that's like probably the darkest burgundy color that's in there. And then you can see in the truck that there is, oops, you don't want to see the picture of my kid through the fabric. There is some variegation in the truck. So I think it's turning out pretty cute. And the rest of it isn't. Just the only other one that was supposed to be variegated was the turquoise, but I'm just using, what color do I have for that? I'm using 959 as the turquoise color. I thought that one worked pretty well. So this has been fun. It's super cute. I love their truck series. Wouldn't a St. Patrick's Day one be super cute? I don't think they have St. Patrick's Day. I know there's a 4th of July. I know there's a spring one that's like Eastery. I have the pattern for the fall one because I'm really big on fall. I have as much Halloween and fall decorations as normal people have for Christmas. But I love the fall one, and I want to do the Christmas one with the tree. It's super cute. But this one, I just couldn't. I had to do it. Had to do it. It was adorable. So that one I've been working on when it's my, one day I'll work on Phil's present, and then I switch and do a Valentine's Day one the next day. So that's one of the Valentine's Day one in rotation. And then the other one that's in this bag is a little bit more of a UFO than a WIP because I haven't worked on it in a while. but it's the Waxing Moon Valentine's Day House Trio. I love Waxing Moon. I think her stuff is awesome. I know there's a sale right now going on, like, let's build a house, because what is it about houses? We just all love houses. They're so cute. I want to do her haunted ones. The Halloween one's cute too, but the haunted one is adorable. And she has really, really cute things. The funny thing is that when I started, I didn't realize, for some reason, it doesn't seem like it's going to be as big as it is. And I know that the fabric is okay. I measured and remeasured and measured a third time just to make sure it was going to be okay. But they seem smaller when you see the picture on Etsy. But I decided I was going to stitch them all together in one big piece. And I am not sure at all what kind of fabric this is. I have a feeling it's probably the Carolina or Carolina. It's a DMC. You can get it at Joann's. I like this one a lot because when you're doing something primitive or vintagey looking, it has like more natural fibers in it. And I like that. I think that lends very much to it. And for something like this, where there is a lot of white that you want it to pop out, you don't want to do it on white. The super bright white Monaco that I was using for the truck, I think is great when you've got those bright colors. But something like this, I like the more natural look to it. So I'm doing this with all the called for, but I have not worked on this in a while. So for the rest of the year, when I assign my Valentine's work day to the day of the week, this is what I'm going to work on. So I would like to have this done for next year. And then maybe I can get some of her other trio stuff because it is just so cute. And I love her little minis that she's been doing. Haven't had a chance to pick one up yet, but I think those are adorable and you could do so many cute things with them. Like if you have a seasonal tree that you leave up all year long, they'd whip up really cute. You could do them all together. But her stuff is really cute too. And I love that there's so much choice out there. We have so many different things to choose and different styles to choose from. So the other Valentine's Day stuff that I've been working on is stitching with the Housewives. We are mountain bikers. You wouldn't think it to look at me. I know I'm a little chubby, but working on it. But we like to mountain bike, and we've been doing it with the younger two kids. We dragged all 4 kids when we first started, and the younger 2 were really little. Like, they were on 20-inch bikes, and they got really angry with us sometimes when we were going up these hills. But the youngest, who's just about to turn 16, is crazy good now. He is amazing on a mountain bike. But it's really fun, and I love being out in the woods. There have been many, many times where, you know, we're out biking and it's maybe April or May or June before school year is over. And I'm able to think out in the woods on the bike in a way that, you know, I get back in the car and I write down 25 things of ideas of something to do with my class. Or I'm really the librarian at my school, and then I teach ELA too. But there's something about being in the woods. So when I saw Priscilla's bike series, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do them all. I haven't had a chance to really get a lot of the patterns or get them all started. But I do have a couple, and the Valentine's Day one is my first one that I've been doing. As you saw, I have, you know, a couple of the month to months, and I bought the February, like I bought the January, I have December, January, and February of all the patterns for month to month and Let's Go Ride a Bike Together. And, but the month to month are pretty intensive, work intensive. There's a lot in them. And I thought, well, instead of starting the February, I want to start the bike and see how that goes. So this is all the called for as well, except for the pink. So when I went to go order everything after Christmas with my Christmas gift card, they were out of the seashell-y at Fat Quarter Shop. They didn't have any left. And I didn't want to wait and then order just a couple skeins of something because I was putting in a big order at Fat Quarter and I didn't have shipping. So, and this I thought was really super helpful. So I posted on the Stitching with the Housewives Facebook group and said, they're out of seashell-y. I just want to get another pink. Does anybody have recommendations? And someone went to her stash, grabbed a couple different pinks. She grabbed the seashell-y from Classic Colorworks, and then she grabbed one from Weeks, and she grabbed like a shaker and a couple other different pinks and put them all out and took a picture and posted it. And I thought that was super, super helpful. And so I went with the Weeks Dye Works, which I'm pretty sure is, hold on, let me find it. I think it's called Charlotte's Pink. Okay, it's at the bottom of my bag. Oh, which for this is my Stitching with the Housewife bag. It's from Perfectly Pegasus. Because as the librarian, they know who I am when I walk in the bookstore. I get stuff like this there. So that's where all my Stitching with the Housewife stuff is right now, because a lot of the colors, well, they're the only ones that I use the Classic Colorworks for. So I keep them all in one bag because they use the same colors here as they do very similar colors in the Santa Claus one, the Christmas one. So I just thought it'd be easier to put them all in one bag rather than putting these in the Valentine's Day bag just for convenience of the floss. So I'm pretty sure it's called Charlotte's Pink. And that one is coming along nicely. I'm going to be working on Presley later because she's so cute. So I'm loving how that is coming along. And I think that's actually it now for Valentine's Day WIPS, because I finished the Valentine Day lane. But I do have the pattern. I would love to do the coffee one. This one. Because my classroom is decorated as a coffee house theme. And I just think that would be adorable to have there. And I also have coffee stuff in my kitchen. So when I'm done teaching someday, I can still have it in my coffee house. All right, and I think that's actually, yep, everything in that bag that started from Priscilla and Chelsea. So that's what I've currently really been working on quite a bit. But I do have some other WIPs that in March, when I start with my days of the week, I am going to get some work done there. So you guys have no idea how excited I've been the past couple of years with all the bee stuff that's been coming out. Like, it hit being trendy. So here's my cute little bee bag. I had a bee themed classroom. My ELA classroom, I taught 6th and 7th grade ELA, and that was my theme. So you can imagine, as I said, I'm a Pinterest junkie. I'm one of those teachers. So I had yellow and black stuff hanging from the ceiling, you know, poofs and fans, and the paper lanterns. I made one look like a beehive with stuff, you know, bees flying out of it. All my, I had my bulletin boards were all bee themed, and everything was black and yellow, and I had sayings up like, be kind. And one of my favorites was the Mary Kay one. She said, a bumblebee, aerodynamically, a bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly, but it doesn't know that, so it doesn't anyway. I thought that was a great quote. So I had things like that. I had all sorts of little bee tchotchkes everywhere. The kids named some of the bees. I have one big one. They named it Kobe, right after Kobe Bryant passed away. So it's Kobe with 2 E's in his honor. But, and the kids would joke with me about all the bee stuff too. And I do have some stitchings that I did for my classroom that were hanging on the wall. And I had a few that were like out on tables. And then COVID happened. Yay, COVID. And so the year of 2021, we were not in our classrooms. The kids were in a room. They stayed there all day. And we, the teachers, traveled to them. So, and I wasn't teaching ELA that year because as the librarian, the library had to go on a cart to the kids. It was horrible. That was the worst year. I put me back in quarantine, even as bad as that was, but the carts were just bad. It was just difficult, very long days. So I didn't teach ELA, and, cause it was just too much work to try to do both at the same time. So the next year, which was 21-22, we were able to be more normal. We all had our own classrooms, and the kids moved to us again. And so that meant that the kids were coming back to the library. So I decided that the library theme that year was going to be bees, and the library was the place to be. I have these big windows over my front door. I have double doors to the library and big windows over the top. So that's what it said there. And I had all my bee stuff all over the library. And it was great. The kids loved it. And then I did take on ELA again, but it was 8th graders. And so that's when I decided, and it was a different classroom. So I decided to go with a coffee house theme. And so that's everything's green and black, kind of Starbucky colors. And I've got coffee quotes everywhere, and it's very cute. But I have loved bees for a long time. Oh, and the year that we did the library theme, I had the kids do a ton of research on bees too. So we found out all sorts of funny facts about them. They're awesome. So in the years that I was in my bee room, I did have a couple of things that I finished stitching that were hanging up, and I'll show you those on another day. But I had a few things that I started that still need to be finished. So here is one of those. And it's kind of, I have to move it up and down because it's really big. This is from Robin Kingsley, and this was published in the June edition of Cross Stitch and Needlework in 1999. I have no idea what kind of material it is because I wasn't keeping track of that kind of thing then, but it is, it's an even thicker fiber than the Carolina, so it's a really nice thick linen. I'm sure it's 28 count because that's pretty much what I do everything on. But I really like that it has the flex in it. Oh, hold on. You can see it a little better with the picture behind it. The flex in it, I think, really helped make it look that natural, homespun kind of, you know what I mean? And it really goes well because it allows the bright colors to really pop, but also has that natural feel to it. So it says around the edges, to be or not to be. So that's funny for the ELA librarian. And then we have be true, be mine, believe, behave, be loving, be thankful, be happy, be careful. And the last ones on the bottom that aren't stitched yet says be faithful. And of course it has an extra B or an extra E on everything. So it's coming along, and I have actually been doing, you can see I've been doing some of the back stitch at the top as I've been going because there is a lot to do in the border still to go around. So I figured if I do some of the back stitch, and I'll go back and forth, like I'll do, you know, I'll cut off a strand of floss, use it all for back stitching, then cut off a strand of red and use that to go around or something. So I jump around a little bit when I stitch, so I'm not bored just doing the border or something like that, or how much time it's going to take to back stitch the whole thing. But I can't wait for this one to be done. And you know, when I started this, there wasn't the cute finishing yet. People weren't doing it, or at least I wasn't seeing it yet, with, you know, using all the cute little embellishments, and now that there is so much bee stuff in the stores, I'll be able to find some really cute stuff when I finish this one off. So my other bee stuff that I'm working on right now is Priscilla and Chelsea's bee set from last year. And I don't know that I actually have one started, but because I did 2 of them last summer. I took them on vacation with me. So I still have Sweet as Honey to do, and Honey Bees and Flowers Please. But I do want to do all 6 of them. I think there were 6. So that was, I can't believe, I thought I had one started, but I have my fabric. So this fabric, I absolutely love how this came out. This was hand dyed because they did it, oops, they did it on the apple green. And so that's what I used too, but then I didn't tea dye it. I just left it like super bright green. And I love how this one came out with the marbling or the modeling or whatever you want to call it. But I love it. And so I did a big piece. I found a big piece of Monaco, dyed the whole thing, and then cut it into 6 pieces so that I would have it be matchy-matchy, because I am a very matchy-matchy kind of person. So those are my bee things. I gotta tell you, I cannot wait though. I have a couple of the Primrose Cottage stuff because theirs came out last year. And one of my favorite sayings is about words are like honey when they're sweet to the soul. And I think they did that one, so I'm going to do that. Someday I'm going to do Hive Rules because I do love it. But in the market releases, the new Tiny Town from Hands on Heart, or Heart on Hand, Hand on Heart? You know who I mean. I can't wait to get my hands on that one. It's so cute. And I'll probably order it from Annabella's or Fat Quarter, one of those 2. And I'm wondering though if either one of them is going to have a floss kit to go with it, because it's all classic Colorworks. But it's so cute. I have to have that one. That was one I texted. I have one friend at school who is doing a lot of stitching right now. And so I'll text her, be like, oh my gosh, did you see this? And then Wednesday morning and Friday morning, I'm like, did you see the new pattern yet? So when I texted her about the bees, I was like, I'm such a stitching nerd. And her children agreed with me. They're students. It's okay. So sorry, I'm leaning over because my bags are spread out all over the place over here. I'm on my front porch, by the way. This is a really lovely spot. It gets kind of cold in the winter because it's not insulated very well with all these big windows, but it's a really lovely spot to sit and read. I'd probably read out here more than I like stitch or something, but it is a very nice spot to be. All right, so the one big Christmas thing I have, because I do want to do all of the gingerbread that came out last year from Chelsea and Priscilla, because I decorate in gingerbread at Christmas time in my kitchen. So I did the cookie delivery last year. So that one is done. And I started the gingerbread farm. Oh, I have these in here too. So the big Christmas one that I've been working on is, oh my goodness, the pattern is not in here. It's, you know how I've seen them, I think it's in like Joanne. It's a book from England. And so you usually get it, it's like wrapped up, and sometimes it has like a kit or something with it. This was on the cover several years ago now, the Santa, because I remember telling several of my students we have clubs after school, and I have a cross-stitching club where I've tried to teach students how to stitch, and I've showed this one off before, like a while ago. But this is my big Christmas stitch right now. It's actually on Ada. I don't know why, because I usually don't put stuff like this on Ada, but it has a little bit of gold metallic in it. And I believe that in the border here, there's holly berries. I'm going to do those in a red seed bead, but he's actually coming along pretty well. I just need to, and I'm probably will do a lot of the back stitching on the inside while I'm doing the border around the top. So he just needs a little bit more work up here. It's not a completely fully finished, but it's pretty darn close. There's a little bit of white over here, but he's like totally solid. And he says Merry Christmas on his little sign. It's got some gold on it. But I hope to have him on my shelf with all my Santas at Christmas this year. You know, I probably chose Ada because it has the metallic in it, and that's, you know, so much thicker, and then it frays so much that I probably wanted to do it on a little bit thicker or easier to work with fabric. All right, so the other thing I've been working on for Christmas, okay, I have 5 of them done. If you haven't seen Pinker and Punkin, she has a blog that she does thrifty kind of thing. She's got a lot of this like great vintage. I don't know. I think a lot of it is stuff she's collected for a long time, but she also goes thrifting. So she has this hutch, and she does it every month with a different, you know, snowmen and hearts and St. Patrick's Day. But she has, she puts her patterns on there for free, which is amazing. And I've told students about it because they're students. It's like, go check her out. But all of her stuff, she's got this really sweet set of salt box houses, and ones for different months. They're adorable. Like, I want to do them all. They're the kind of things that you want to do and then put in the dough bowl. Really, really sweet. So she has a set that is Prim Winter, and she had 2 of them that came out. One was in 2020 and one came out in 2021. So I think there's about 10 or 11 total. And so these I started doing because I want to make some for myself, but I also want to give a couple sets of these to my nieces and nephews and their significant others, and I have some friends. So this is Faith. And I did this on that Carolina from DMC because, like I said, I really like how natural it looks. And for something that's primitive, it's perfect. It really works, and it's easy to work on, which is another thing. So, so that's the Faith. The only thing I changed from the colors that she called for, she used like 223 for the red color, which for me was too pink. So I think I'm using like 816 or 815 because I wanted it a little deeper red. So this one is Peace. with a little cardinal. I love cardinals. I have a thing about them. I'm actually wearing my cardinal bracelet right now. This one is Joy, and my middle name is Joy, so I have Joy all, it looks like Joy threw up at Christmas, Alan. It's everywhere. People give me stuff that says Joy. I get stuff, but it is kind of fun to have that for a middle name. But isn't that sweet? And they do all have the same little branch at the top. Wait, that's Love. So there's also one that's Faith, that's a church. There's Gifts, that's Santa in a sleigh. There's quite a few of them. And so what I'd like to do is make them, and I bought a bunch of really cool plaids to use as the backing. I think I'm going to make these into the little pillows and probably find like the dough bowls for my niece and nephew and their significant others, like when I gift them, like have them in the bowl. Maybe a couple other little, you know, filler things, ornaments or whatever. But they work up really quickly because they're so small. And they're going to be nice as a whole set when you have them all done together. So that, and that definitely would be nice, you know, do one a week, and, you know, working on them on the Christmas day, because then I'll have them all done by the time Christmas comes around, hopefully. All right, so that is it for WIPS. I do have a couple other things. I didn't bring down anything for Halloween because I haven't really worked on it since October, but I'll show you some of the Halloween stuff. And I actually have a lot of stuff I finished at Halloween last year, so I don't have a lot that's actually started, but my list of what I want to do for Halloween this year is quite long. Like the Witch Next Door and the Autumn Truckin' from Primrose. I've got a bunch of their stuff, and the Autumn Kisses, and so many cute things. Too many cute things. So I do have a couple things for haul. I haven't really bought a lot of patterns lately, but I don't know about you, but now that the way that, you know, the finishing trends, I feel like I'm always on the lookout for something that I can use to finish. And I spent a little bit too much time in Dollar Tree lately. So someone posted on, I think it was the Stitching with the Housewives Facebook group. They have these super cute trims at Dollar Tree. Now, the ones I really wanted was the carrot ones, and of course they didn't have the carrot ones. But you have the pom-poms and the chicks and the bric-a-brac. So there's carrot ones that are orange. And then they also had purple ones that say Happy Easter. I like the pom-poms. And the bric-a-bracs, but I don't know that I'll use the Happy Easter part, but the pom-poms and the bric-a-brac is pretty good. And then they had pink ones that were little pink bunnies. But I really want the carrots. They also had these. So I thought those would be cute little embellishments. Even if I don't put them on stitchings this year, you could string them together and make a cute little garland. And they had a couple colors of those too. But some of the fun stuff I found there the last time I went. Sorry, I'm making all this rustling noise. So they had this cute little house. And I thought, how adorable is that? You can use that with the, and it has an easel, so you can set it up. It would have to be tall and skinny, but you could do a lot with this. And, you know, put the magnets on it so that you can switch it out. Put a magnet at the top so you can switch out your embellishment. Super cute for $1.25. And then this, I love the buffalo checker on the edge. And you know how sometimes Chelsea and Priscilla will stick something in like the big flower arrangement? It's already on a stick for you. So I thought this was adorable as well. And this one has a little hanger. I thought that was really cute. They had a little bead with a house, which you can just put with anything as a cute embellishment. They also had cute little, they said that they're coasters or something, but little farm. And that's actually my library theme this year, is a farm theme. And then this one I love. I might have to go back and get a second one because I have French doors from my porch to my living room. And so I like to put things that match there. But look at how cute that is. You can totally washer and magnet that, and it's a nice size that you can fit a lot of the, you can fit like the doodads on here, not just the smaller ones. But you could use this for, you know, stuff from Primrose too. I mean, you can put the bee stuff on here. So cute. So that was a fun one to Dollar Tree. And then I also have from a different run to Dollar Tree. Somebody else posted these. And I got 4 of them because I thought they were so cute. Although I didn't realize that one's really yellow at the top. That one's not quite as much. But somebody said the doodads fit on these perfectly. I don't know. I don't know that I bought them. I don't know that I'll use them for the doodads because I feel like I want those to be a little bit more special because I love them. But they did also have this little chalkboard one with it all the way around the frame. And they had, this was cute. They had it, you know, like as a place, and it comes with a chalk, but it has an easel. So I thought that would be adorable for me. Ooh, maybe I'll do the Valentine's Day one in here. That would be so cute. Because even if you don't see the chalkboard part that much, I love that it's an easel. Valentine's Day. Oh, let's see. Oh, and when, oh, it does fit. It fits just perfectly on there, and you still have enough room to trim it with some fabric and then still see the black. So cute. When I do finish black things like this one on black material, I do it on a black board, foam core usually, because I don't want to see the light coming through it. I think it's better on black. That's just me. Another cute thing they had, and I was like, oh, you could put this out the way it is, or home is wherever I'm with you. It's already scuffed up on the one side, but I thought this would be cute to add something to. Or I can put it in my farm classroom. They also had some cute beads for St. Patrick's Day. They're probably gone already. But that was fun. Oh, and there, wait, there's one more. Oh, one more thing for my haul. This was at Hobby Lobby, and I think somebody else posted this too, but they'd already finished something on it. This was in the unfinished wood section. Oh, where's the top? Here's the top. So this was in the unfinished wood section at Hobby Lobby, and how perfect for the roundabouts. So I'm thinking I'm going to paint it white and do the magnets, because then I can do probably the Christmas roundabouts I won't put on here. I think I'm going to do those as ornaments. But for the other ones, like the spring one, how cute would it be to have all the spring roundabouts in a little strip, and you can do the beads in between. I just thought this was awesome when I saw that. And it was $7.99 in the wood pile, so the unfinished part. And, you know, I got it when it was 40% off. So 40% off, $7.99, pretty good. And they did have also a cute little Valentine Day cutting board. They called it a charcuterie board. But that'll be cute. I like that it has a heart-shaped hole at the top. And that's a good size too. So that's it for my WIPS and my hauls. And I do have a giveaway. I'm going to give away one of the houses from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to put with that this cute little black and white beads. Now, it goes around in the circle, but I'm pretty sure you could probably figure out how to cut it so it's straight. But this is going to be my giveaway. So if you would like to try to win it, remember, don't put giveaway in the comments, because then those trolls are going to come out. I've been hearing a lot about the troll problems that some of the other floss tubers have been having, which is just awful. So don't say that on there. But so just the one thing, so you could just put the number 1. But my question to you is, how long have you been stitching? So thanks so much for hopping on to see my floss tube. I hope to do this again next week. Hopefully my weekend won't evaporate on me, and I'll have a chance to stitch during the week. And I don't have the whole week off. I know a lot of schools do. We only have Monday off, and then, but I get 2 weeks of April. I would much rather the 2 weeks in April because you really need a really good break by then. So we have the week before Easter and the week after Easter, which is great. But I do hope to get a lot of stitching done this week, and I hope to actually get some finishing done. So hopefully I'll have some pieces, those Valentine's Day stitches. So hopefully I'll have those finished off. I can share those with you next week, or maybe in 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes. But I'm super excited to be part of this community, and it's, you know, it's so much fun to feel like you have friends all over the place who are part of this awesome craft as well. But thank you for joining, and I hope to see you again next time. So subscribe and like if you would like to win a little fun stitching house or finishing house, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.